Okay, so we have a lot of questions. We'll just go over them. These were all sent in to me over the last few days when I asked a couple days ago. So if you don't know me, I'm a health coach. Not really. I went to school to be a health coach, and then I became a blogger, and then I just became a blogger for the last like 10 years. So I'm a health blogger, and but I did go to nutrition school a long time ago in California, and it was a great experience. And so now I work from home, and I'm a health blogger, and I've been working on healing my own Hashimoto's thyroid disease for the last about 10 years. So I've learned a lot about my health through that, and most recently, about 7 months ago, I went carnivore, and that has been very dramatic. Everything I did up until that point really helped, so I went paleo. That was amazing, but then I felt like I needed more because I was very carbohydrate sensitive, so then I became keto. And on keto, I just had a hard time regulating all the treats and sweets and things like that. So recently, about 7 months ago, my friend Vivica from Nourished Caveman said that I should try carnivore. So I was like, okay, I'll try it. Hi. So anyway, I tried it about 7 months ago. I felt amazing the first month, and I felt really bad the first 2 weeks. So keep that in mind if you're trying it. But then after about a month, I felt amazing, and I lost weight that I have never been able to lose. And just really things started to shift for me very quickly. So I stayed on it for 7 months now, and I felt amazing. So I just want to share it with you guys. A lot of people have asked me questions. So people were asking me these last week, and I'm going to answer them now. All right. So let's see. I have cravings after 2 weeks. Oh, I have cravings for okay, so they've been doing carnivore for 2 weeks, and they still have cravings for keto treats. Well, you need to have a lot more meat. You just need to keep eating. Just keep eating. You're probably restricting your eating. So if you are restricting your food, then you're going to be wanting keto treats. So when I started, I was just eating 3 meals a day, meat, like 3 pounds sometimes of meat a day, 2 to 3 pounds at least. So you're probably just restricting your food too much. And so every time I wanted a treat, I would just eat more salt. Right. I would just eat more salt, and then I would eat more meat. So just eat more meat and more salt, and you won't have any cravings. Do you feed children carnivore? So I think this person thought that I had children. I do not have children. A lot of the time you'll see me with my nephews. My sister lives really close by, and I hang out with my nephews a lot. They are 1 and 4, and they are very adorable. So they do not, they're more paleo, I'd say. And she does eat carnivore. My sister does eat carnivore too, but she feeds her kids more paleo-ish. So every once in a while, they'll get a gluten-free bread or something like that. But I don't think it's necessary really to go all the way to carnivore for kids. I mean, unless they have a really big health issue or something like that. But I think a paleo approach is a good thing for kids because they can have a little bit of the fruits and, but also I kind of lost I don't think you need as many vegetables as I used to think you need when you're doing paleo, but you can just kind of decide that for yourself. I mean, I'm not an expert on children or anything like that, but I think paleo is a good kind of starting place for kids. Okay, coffee is making me bloated. I'm going to do the ones that people ask me, and then I'll come back and do those. So coffee is making me bloated. I'd say it's more likely the coffee, what you're putting in your coffee is making you bloated. I mean, you can listen to Amber O'Hearn has talked a lot about coffee and how, it doesn't really affect her. She tried taking it out. She tried putting it back in for long periods of time. I drink decaf coffee, which is, I know, really lame, but I can't handle regular coffee because of my adrenals and my thyroid and all that. And so decaf coffee, I drank like some really good expensive one, and So I'm not dependent on it, so I can just take it or leave it. So I prefer that approach, because sometimes I can do, sometimes if I don't have it, it's like whatever, so it's probably more what you're putting in your coffee, not what your coffee is, not the coffee, but just try taking it out for a little while. All right, are you constipated from lack of fiber? Well, I was actually eating tons and tons of vegetables for 7 to 8 years, 9 years, and I was constantly having poor digestion, very slow digestion. That's a symptom of Hashimoto's. So it's only improved by removing fiber. Fiber, really the whole thing, you got to kind of look at the history of that. Fiber was introduced kind of like by the Kellogg's brothers. They were very into chastity. They wanted people to not, procreate and things like that. Weird stuff that, so you got to look into the history and why people were so into fiber, and then it kind of played into the whole low fat movement. So there's really a lot of kind of misinformation about fiber. And if you ever studied like the GAPS diet or something like that, she really emphasizes cutting back on raw vegetables, that kind of thing, very cooked vegetables. GAPS diet is an amazing diet for, she's a Russian doctor who helped her son's autism to be almost, non-existent. So if you want to learn about that, it's an amazing protocol. And she recommends cooking all the vegetables super much, and avoiding more of the nuts and the seeds and things like that. So that's an amazing thing. If you are wondering about fiber, just read more. There's a great book called Fiber Menace that's all about that. All right, so how to get started on carnivore. You basically just eat meat, and that's it. So you eat meat and animal fats and eggs. You can eat eggs, of course, and you eat a lot. You need to eat a lot of salt. You need to pay a lot of attention to your salt and your electrolytes in the first week or two. So you just have to make a decision. You have to find your reason why you want to do it, and then you have to just get started. You have to shop and get a lot of meat, and then just cook it whenever you're hungry and eat. And don't try to restrict yourself. Don't try to fast. Maybe you can do that after the first month or so, but I'd say just get used to it. Don't try to do long extended fasting and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so gluconeogenesis, overeating protein. So a lot of people are so worried about keto and gluconeogenesis and stuff like that. Well, that's when you overeat protein, and it supposedly turns to sugar, and it makes you not any animal products. You can eat any animal products on carnivore. So gluconeogenesis is something that people talk a lot about in carnivore, in keto. And you are supposed to have your fat to be more than your protein. And I used to be worried about that all the time, but I think I was just ending up eating way too many calories from fat bombs and peanut butter and chocolate and stuff like that. And so it really didn't matter. I don't think it was the protein that was messing me up before with the with keto. I think it was all the treats and the and worrying about, maybe I was still hungry because I only ate like 4 ounces of protein, and then I would just go eat a bunch of treats and stuff like that because I was supposed to be loading up on fat. So I think you can kind of shoot yourself in the foot. But still, I eat fatty meat, like lots of fatty meat. So I don't add a lot of fat to my meat unless I'm eating some really lean meat. And lean meat is sometimes cheaper, so you can add more fat to it. Especially grass-fed beef is a lot of times very cheap. It's expensive, but it's very lean, which is gross. So I add fat in that case, but I try to just get fatty meats to start with, and then you don't have to add a lot of fat to it. But so with that, you're ending up with the perfect ratio of fat to protein anyway. So you really don't have to worry about it, and that's what I like. Because ancestrally, if you think about it, would you kill a woolly mammoth and been like, okay, well, I'm only going to eat this part because I want to keep my protein and fat ratio in check? Like, no. Yes, ancestral people prize fat, but they wouldn't have worried about, am I going to have this perfect, circle thing and have the right, pie graph? So that just doesn't make sense. So just eat fatty meat and you'll be fine. All right, do you count calories? No, I eat a lot. I probably eat about 2,500 calories a day just from, I've maybe logged it in like once or twice. So I don't count calories. You shouldn't, I don't think, at least. I mean, it's been 7 months I haven't counted calories and I've lost 20 pounds. So I'm loving it. I eat a lot more. I eat a lot more than I used to, but it's just the right things, I guess, because I'm not eating any less than I used to eat, a lot less than I do now. So that tells you something. All right. Do you do OMAD, which is 1 meal a day? No, I have tried it once or twice, but I have not done OMAD because I've done a lot of restricted dieting in the past, and I find that when I try to fast, I get a lot of head games about my old habits of restricting and stuff like that. So I really don't like to go to that place. So I do not do OMAD, but some people do, and they're fine with it. I'd say if you want to do OMAD, you have to think about your stress level and stuff like that, your hormone status. I think you should definitely not start out with that at all. I think you should kind of eat a lot more at the beginning. So I think that's only maybe an advanced strategy after 6 months or so if you want to try that. But you can just eat when you're hungry and don't think about it too much. If I start thinking about fasting, I will freak out and I will eat more and freak out. So try to avoid that. All right, so do I get cravings? No, not really. I don't get cravings. Maybe the first 2 weeks I did, but I just really focused on eating a lot more salt. I have my red mint salt all the time, and I would just dump it on my mouth, and so that would help a lot. And then I would just often just eat more. So sometimes, sometimes you eat dinner and then you're wanting another treat, like chocolate or something like that. Well, I would sometimes just go and make another burger patty, and then you cannot eat anything else. You're like, so if you're trying to, let's say I ate an 8-ounce thing of burgers, like half a pound. So then I finished that, and I was still thinking about chocolate or peanut butter treats or something. That's my favorite thing, chocolate peanut butter. So I would just go back and make the other half pound of the burger, and then I'd be like, okay, peace out, I'm full, and I would just leave the kitchen. It wouldn't be no problem. So we just need to eat more, and eat more salt, and make sure you're drinking water too. I mean, try to drink that more between meals. But all right, will I add back veggies at some point? So there's a big bug in my hair. Will I add back veggies at some point? I don't know. I'm just kind of taking it day by day. I'm feeling really good now, and I don't want to go back to feeling bad, which is what I felt like before when I was eating a lot of veggies and I was 20 pounds heavier. So and I have so much free time now. I don't have to think about food so much, and it's very minimalism focused. I don't have to have so much shopping, and the other night I went to the grocery store with my husband, and he had the whole cart full of all this veggies and fruits and all this stuff, and I had my little corner of the shopping cart with just a couple of steaks and some ground beef, and it was okay, this is my stuff. He's like, you want anything else? And I'm like, well, I mean, what else would I get? I mean, I would buy sparkling water or something like that. So that was it. So I don't really, but I mean, I'm never going to say never. If I feel that it's time for me to have veggies again, then I will. But right now it's just I'm not craving it. It's not appealing to me. It just seems like I don't want it. So later on, maybe, I have no idea. I'm just going day by day. All right. Will I stay in ketosis? So I don't, a lot of people will, most people will, especially if they're eating fatty meats. So a lot of people say they have very high ketones on carnivore. I'd say it's better not to focus on it. It's better not to track that. Maybe if you want to do it every once in a while, fine, but I don't think it's something you need to focus on. Doing your ketones. My ketones are, I don't register a lot of ketones, but I think that means that I'm burning a lot of them. And like I said, I was always in ketosis when I was doing keto, and I was always in ketosis when I was doing keto, but I would never lost any weight. So I don't know why I would care about ketosis when it didn't really help me in that way. So, and it's, my digestion was terrible, and on and on and on. So I think that I am in ketosis off and on, and I feel like that is probably the best thing for me. I do sleep like a rock, and my energy is pretty good. I mean, when you have Hashimoto's, your energy is never like as great as it used to be before, or when you were 25, and then you get Hashimoto's. I mean, I got Hashimoto's when I was around 30 years old, so I don't think I'll ever be the same again, but I'm way better than I was a long time ago. So at one point I could barely get out of bed with my Hashimoto's, so that kind of tells you some stuff. All right, so just don't be worried so much about ketones. Like, you will or you won't, and you'll probably be in and out of it because you're having no carbs at all. So you're gonna probably be in ketosis at least a big portion of the day. All right, supplements. What supplements do you need to take? I mean, I consider liver to be a supplement, so I try to eat liver a couple of days a week, about 3 ounces, a few days a week. And then D3, I mean, it's summertime now here, and I'm living in Nashville, it's in the South, so I am going to be outside a lot, so I really don't care about that either. And so that is, I'm not really going to worry about the D3. And I did take a lot of magnesium when I was first doing carnivore, and I still take a lot of natural calm and stuff like that. Sometimes. Or I do magnesium oil. So magnesium is a big supplement that a lot of people take when they are starting carnivore. So that is something that you can take. And then, let's see, so magnesium. Potassium is something that a lot of people take because their electrolytes are imbalanced. So some people do like that new salt or the Morton's light salt or something like that. So that is something you can take that will, I mean, if you're having trouble with your electrolytes, if you're feeling faint or you're feeling dizzy or you're just feeling tired, but I like the Redmond salt because you don't have to worry about the ratios. It's kind of all in there and it's really fast, and I like the taste of it. So I don't like to drink salt, so that is why I just do the magnesium. I mean, I just do the Redmond, and I don't do all those I don't make those electrolyte drinks or any of that stuff. All right, so we'll answer some of the questions that are coming up. So we'll go back and answer some of these questions that were coming through. Those were the ones that were asked on the live. Okay. Never heard of it. Do you think liver supplement would be helpful if you don't eat organ meat? I mean, it's helpful, but it's not going to give you enough. So what you could do, I'd say just freeze it in little chunks, cut it really small, then freeze it. Then you can take it like a pill. I was just talking to, okay. Thank you, sweet Kara. Okay. I met you at Diane's signing. Thank you for coming. That was great. Love learning more about your journey. So you don't eat vegetables for 7 months. Yeah, 0 carb. So the old name for carnivore is 0 carb. A lot of people called it that. And then now they call it carnivore. So do you eat sausage or bacon? You can, I mean, if you want to. I mean, I'd say if you have an autoimmune disease or something like that, you don't want to eat a lot of processed meats, especially, if you want to see the best results. And sometimes they have additives, sugar, corn, there's stuff added to that, so you have to be careful. Really read your labels. Do you pay attention to calories or fat macros? Just all meat and eggs regardless of protein, fat content? I kind of answered that already. My favorite thing's a ribeye. I eat a lot of ground beef. I eat a lot of eggs. I was doing an egg elimination where I just did eggs, or I did duck eggs for about 8 weeks, 8 to 12 weeks. I did that because it's a different protein. So if you have an egg allergy, you can eat duck eggs, and that was great. They're more fatty. They're great. So yeah, you don't really worry about counting, and I love that because I'm not good at. I hate all that. It makes me crazy, the counting. So let's see if there's any more. Is carnivore, does eating raw liver have to be grass-fed? I mean, liver, I'd say liver is something really important to be grass-fed, or you could get pastured chicken liver because it's going to have less contamination from soy and corn, and there's sometimes the heavy metals can be stored in the fat of animals. I mean, liver doesn't have a lot of fat, but I just think that is something, since it's kind of like a supplement, you want to get and it's really cheap anyway. So if you can find a farmer, I usually just use ghee. So I've made ghee a lot of times. What kind of fat are you adding? I add ghee mostly. I have made some tallow, and it tastes okay, but it's not my favorite. So I usually do ghee, and I've been trying to avoid most dairy, and that seems to help. What do you think about OMAD? What do you think about OMAD from a Hashimoto's perspective? It's kind of the same thing I was saying about fasting. It can be really detrimental to your hormones and to your mental health if you have trouble with fasting. If you just do it naturally, you don't even think about it. But you have to be careful with fasting. And, with Hashimoto's, you just always have to be checking your thyroid. You can't just take it for granted that anything is working or not working. You just have to test your antibodies and, make sure your medication is right. You just have to test a lot. I can do more of a 16-8 fasting rather than the OMAD is just too long for me. Is it expensive? I mean, a little bit, but you're gonna think about, is carnivore expensive? Well, you got to think about all the things you're not buying. I'm not buying kombucha. I'm not buying, all these drinks. I'm not buying treats. So it kind of evens out, because if you're not buying all these things, you're not buying, $5 cauliflower, or, grated cauliflower, all that. So it kind of evens out. And you don't have to eat that much. I usually eat about 2 pounds of meat a day. I eat one meal kind of at 10, and one meal kind of at 5 or 6. And, let's say it's 2 pounds of meat. And usually one meal is a steak, and one meal is a ground beef. So, ground beef is cheap. Even if it's grass-fed, it's usually around $5 or $6. And then you have a ribeye. Let's just say it's $10 to $15. So, that's $20. It's not too bad for one person per day, I guess. And you can always cook at home, try to find sales, things like that. Did you find the veggies cause bloat? Yes, the bloating went away within 24 hours. It was amazing. So I definitely love that, because I was bloated forever. What about blood sugar, glucose? Yeah, I test my blood sugar. It's about 80 something in the morning. Some people find the protein makes their blood sugar go up a little bit, but I don't think it's anything to worry about. Especially try to test it throughout the day, kind of get log it a little bit, and you'll get a rhythm, and you'll realize, but then just, if you want to just try it, eat a piece of bread or something, and then see what happens, I wouldn't worry about it if it's just a little high, because also you don't want to test your blood sugar right after you get up. You want to wait at least an hour for it to kind of come into that normal range when you wake up. All right, so I have noticed on keto I'm having issues with constipation. Do you have this at all on carnivore? Like I said, I was getting better all the time. It's better and better. So I think that on keto, it could be definitely the dairy. I definitely have cut the dairy completely out. The other day I had a treat. I had some raw cream that I got from the farmer's market. So that was kind of a treat, but I got rid of it. I gave it to my mom because I was like, I love this too much. It's making me crazy. Take it out of here. One more question here is, I'm having hair loss or regrowth. I'm having regrowth here. This, can't really see it, but it's like all these little hairs are growing under here, so that's regrowth. And my sister's having a lot of it too. How do you get, I talked about the fiber already. We talked about that already. Somebody said they can't get grass-fed beef. You have to look on Eat Wild in your neighborhood and put in your zip code, and you can probably find a farmer that is going to have that. Oh, we have a siren here. So you'll probably have a local farmer that you'll be able to get things from, and you can always ask them too, can they get a whole cow. You could go in with some of your friends or neighbors and get a whole cow, save money like that. So I don't believe that you can't find it. I mean, they have grass-fed beef at Aldi, they have grass-fed beef at Sam's Club, they have grass-fed beef at Trader Joe's, so I know they have it. They have it at the Publix across the street. I mean, I don't live in New York City or San Francisco or whatever. I live in a regular old place in the South. So if I can get it all over the place, then you can too. And especially if you live in the country, then there's farmers. So get it from a farmer. Well, all right. Let's see. I think that's about it. Do you ever do AIP? Yeah, I did AIP for 8 weeks at one point. And it did not help at all. Not one bit. So I don't know. I save so much money on carnivore. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm a big spender, so yeah, well, if it doesn't help at all in 8 weeks, then I felt like my mental health was falling apart because I was not able to see anyone. I was eating only in my home. And so I really did not, I mean, with carnivore, I saw improvements like within 24 hours. So, I mean, I feel like 8 weeks was long enough to see some change. And my inflammation is like way down. So I think that for me, carnivore is an amazing thing. And I didn't want to do AIP and worry about all of those nightshades and all of that mess for so long, and it was really affecting my mental health. So this has been doing this for 7 months, and it basically is AIP in a lot of ways. It just doesn't have all that sugar and fruit and long-term effects of like feeling awesome. I'm all about it. So anyway, I am so glad that you guys were watching, and I better get going here because I have a lot to do. Thanks so much. See you next time. Bye-bye.